Hey everybody, Arnaldo here, broadcasting from Fidelius Frequency. Welcome to my channel. As you probably noticed from the title of this video and the thumbnail, the subject of today's video is the White Stripes Elephant, the version that came out just last week by Analogue Productions, the UHQR of Elephant. I guess we'll do a quick unboxing and then I will talk a little bit about this release, my comparison to another version that I have, and then some final thoughts on it. So we'll be right back after the unboxing. Elephant is the fourth album by the White Stripes. It celebrates this year the 20th anniversary from its release. It was released in 2003, was recorded in London at Toe Rag Studios, and it follows the third album, White Blood Cells, which brought the White Stripes to the attention of the mainstream public, was featured at the time in many year-end polls, and there was great anticipation for the follow-up album. And when Elephant came out, it did not disappoint. It actually solidified even further their career. So as you've seen in the unboxing, the package is very nicely done. But I also wanted to show and compare, before we get to the sonics and the sound of it, I wanted to compare to the packaging of the original album. The version that I have is the 2022 repress, and I understand is very similar to the original. I don't have an original on hand, but this is the version that is currently in print by Third Man. And if we compare it to the version on the UHQR, you can notice that first of all, the materials are pretty much the same. This also is a tip-on jacket, heavy cardstock. The UHQR also has heavy cardstock, but the finish is a bit more, has more of a soft touch to it. And the colors, it seems like this has more red in tone, while this here, the red is slightly a bit more of an orange tone. But otherwise, the reproduction is the same, only a bit on the tint of the colors is slightly off. I wouldn't say off, actually. I would actually say probably this is the UHQR probably more vividly represents the red compared to the other version. And if we look at the back covers, we can see the version that's by Third Man has a barcode, and because of that, and some of the credits, which here indicate other titles by the White Stripes that are in print, they made room, they removed that, and they made room and spaced out the titles a little differently on the back. As you can see up here on the Third Man pressing, the titles start a little bit higher, and on the UHQR, they are spaced out a little bit lower. Absence of the barcode, replaced by the numbering. All of these are numbered in gold foil, and surprise, surprise, we have the sparse code, which many are familiar with this image from a lot of the Neil Young Archives releases with the little tape, which indicates that this is sourced from an analog recording. So I thought that was a really nice touch compared to the third man pressing. Furthermore, into comparing the jacket and artwork, the original and the 2022 repress came with two inner sleeves that had the images and the lyrics that we saw in the UHQR, which was nicely reproduced in the insert because the UHQR obviously comes in poly-lined sleeves. So with that out of the way, and as you saw also in the UHQR, there is also an additional booklet. And now we can talk about the sound of this UHQR and give you my impression on the comparison that I did with the third man pressing. I did a comparison track by track. I A/B'd them. I listened to them on my speakers as well as in with my headphones. So I was pretty meticulous in comparing the two. The third man pressing is mastered by Noel Somerville, and it was cut by, the lacquer was cut by Wes Garland. The UHQR is mastered and cut by Ryan K. Smith. The quality of the vinyl. The UHQR, this series has gotten us used to dead silent vinyl, pitch black background, and that is the case on this one as well. I think I heard one click in the entire 2-disc set. Yes, because this is a double disc, as you've seen in the unboxing. This was cut at 45 RPM. The original, which is also cut on across two albums, two LPs, is instead cut at 33 RPM. The third man vinyl has some quality control issues. It's not the quietest vinyl, occasionally clicks and pops here and there. I did notice on the third man pressing, it could have been the mastering, it could be the cutting as well of the lacquer, but there is sibilance in the third man pressing. No sibilance in the UHQR. A little bit of inner groove distortion on the third man pressing, none of that on the UHQR. Overall, I have to say that there's greater imaging in the UHQR in the sense that I feel more immersed in the soundstage as opposed to the third man pressing, where it seems to be like the band is in front of you than the listener being in the room with the band. Not sure if that makes sense. There's more clarity in all the instruments or voices. Mind you, this is a very lo-fi in terms of production. It's just drums, guitar, piano occasionally, and vocals. But there's more clarity to these instruments, not in a polished or I don't want to say purified kind of quality. It still retains the rawness, the grittiness of the original recorded, which was what was Jack White's intention. So on that level, I have to say the rawness and the grittiness is still there in the recording, but with a little bit more clarity of the instruments and the voices. And I find that there's a better tonal balance in the UHQR versus the third man pressing. Now I've taken some notes and I've tried to organize them based on the different instruments. There aren't that many instruments on this record, but I didn't separate them from guitars. Whenever there are electric guitars, they sound more alive, more energetic on the UHQR, versus the third man pressing. Most notably, Seven Nation Army, Girl, You've Lost Your Faith in Medicine, as well as The Hardest Button to Button. Whenever there's an acoustic guitar, and most notably on the track, You've Got Her in Your Pocket, think I got that title right. I find that there's more clarity on that track on the guitar, on the acoustic guitar. The third man pressing on the UHQR, the third man pressing is a little bit more veiled when it comes to the acoustic guitar, a little maybe muddy. I don't want to use the word muddy because that's mostly referred to a bass, but there's less clarity. It's a little more veiled on the third man pressing. The drums, the kick drum, the snare, I've noticed, first of all, the kick drum, the bass, the bottom end of the kick drum seems to have more depth on the UHQR versus the third man pressing. But the attack on the kick drum and the attack on the snare seems to be more precise on the UHQR versus the third man pressing. The cymbals, when Meg hits the cymbals, I can hear the attack. The decay of the cymbal is more natural, and the tone of the cymbals is more of a shimmer on the UHQR versus the third man pressing. I did notice that on the third man pressing, the track Hypnotize has these cymbals that sound like splashy. I don't notice it as much being splashy. I don't want to say irritating, but less splashy on the UHQR. And whenever Meg White is using a hi-hat, I notice that is more precise, more defined, especially on the track Girl, You've Lost Your Faith in Medicine. That is on the UHQR. And now the vocals. The vocals, I didn't notice too much about differences in terms of the vocals, other than they seem to be a bit more isolated. You can pick them out from the other instruments. Like, it seems like they have their own space relating to the other instruments. Maybe just a tad clearer. Mind you, Jack White uses either some kind of filters or some kind of compression on his voice in some tracks, and it kind of has almost a 3D effect whenever he uses that type of filter on his voice. And now the final big $1 million question. Do I recommend the UHQR? I can just say, from my personal opinion, I am 100% satisfied with the UHQR. I prefer the UHQR, how it sounds, how it's presented, over the third man pressing. Preface to say, I'm a big White Stripes fan, a big fan of Elephant. I think Elephant is their best album, is my favorite album from the White Stripes. I think Elephant is one of the best albums from the 2000s. So for me, it was like a no-brainer when it was announced to click purchase. If you're a casual fan, you enjoy the White Stripes, you really like Elephant, but don't have the budget to splurge on an expensive box set, I think the third man pressing for $30, with its flaws, gets you about 80% there. If you want the ultimate, probably best sounding version of on vinyl, because I understand there's also a tape version of UHQR, I can highly recommend getting this one. So I hope that I was able to assist you if you have any doubts or in your decision whether or not to purchase this UHQR. If you've watched up until now, thank you so much for watching. Please consider leaving a comment. If you like the video, please show some love. And if you want to see more videos and enjoy the content of this channel, please feel free to subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. So thank you once again, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.